Hey everybody, welcome to the Tesla Life, episode 49. My name is Russell Frost, and I am your barely sick, but nonetheless vertical and doing the show this week host. Luckily for you, you won't have to hear my voice for very long because we have other interesting people to talk. So let's introduce them, and we have a special guest tonight as well. Let's introduce everybody and get this show on the road. The man next to me on my screen is our man in the Kitchener-Waterloo region. I like to think of him as Mark Conlon.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming out to the show tonight. We've got a special guest, and we'll just get the introductions done quickly.
Yes. The well-dressed man on the panel, and nothing personal, Steve, Patrick, or Evan.
All right, yeah. Do I have to take the button-down shirt off? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the well-dressed man in the fancy shirt is our man in Chicago, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
I get off work and then I sit down in front of the microphone. But hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. I know. Looking forward to a great show. And hi, everyone in the chat. So if you're watching the show and you're not in the chat, then shame on you.
There you go. Our man in the Pacific Northwest, Mr. Patrick Connor.
Hello from sunny Oregon.
Did you just say sunny?
It is beautiful out here today.
I can see the sun coming in the window. Well, there you go. And last and not least, I think he's wearing some sort of, I was thinking it was Cardinals because it was red, but no. Suey Hogs.
Big Suey.
Dr. Evan Busco.
Hey, everybody. Well, hello from not sunny Southwest Missouri.
What are you guys still like knee deep in snow?
Man, the weather it quit taking its lithium here sometime in the middle of winter, I think, and we had a gorgeous mid-70s, all sun, blue sky, perfect baseball weather day yesterday, and today it's 50 and rainy and cloudy and disgusting, and
wow. Well, that's no fun.
Welcome to spring in Missouri.
Well, our special guest, he is Steve from Epic EV Road Trip. And I'm not sure if that's a Twitter handle, but we'll get into that. Steve is attempting a Guinness World Record this summer. He's traveling to all 30 MLB parks. That's Major League Baseball for you folks who aren't good with acronyms. And he's going to watch a full game. And he's going to do this in less than 30 days. And he's going to do it in a Model 3.
Wow.
I'm thinking Steve's going to drive really fast. Hey, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Absolutely. So why don't you just start by telling us, what are you thinking?
I don't know. Sometimes I think this is going to be the best trip in the world. And sometimes I think it might be a little too crazy, but I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun. Hope to raise some EV awareness. We'll see a lot of baseball. And you had mentioned the Guinness World Record. There's actually a second one, which I think is more EV related. It will be the Guinness record for the longest voyage in an electric vehicle. It was once set, I think it was 2016, around 13,000 miles or so. And our trip will be between 18,000 and 19,000 miles once we've crisscrossed the country and end up on the West Coast and come back into Virginia. I realize that many people have taken road trips longer than that in their EVs, but as far as what Guinness recognizes, and they have a process and a lot of things they need to fill out and a lot of documentation. Right now, their record's 1,300, so 13,000. Wow. So anything that we can raise the public's awareness that that EVs have come of age and really can do a long distance trip. It's no longer just a 40-mile trip car anymore. It can do everything a regular car can do.
Wow. You can find Steve at facebook.com Epic EV Road Trip. That's facebook.com/Epic EV Road Trip. There's a map. There's a schedule. You're going to be in San Diego on June 4th, I see. Excellent.
Yeah, that'll be the end of the trip. The last game.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. And where are you based out of?
So I'm in Sterling, Virginia, which is fairly close to Washington, D.C.
And Steve, how did you come up with this idea? Like, where did this come from?
Well, it actually didn't start as a EV awareness trip, and it didn't even start as a baseball trip. We haven't mentioned that it's also a fundraiser for Boys and Girls Club. It didn't start as a fundraiser either. I'm a new electric car owner. I just received my Model 3 2.5 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
I was one of the people who stood out in line to try to get mine early. And as many people, I'm a non-owner, previous non-owner, and I'm on the East Coast. So I figured I wasn't going to get mine for a while. So like many people had this idea that, hey, why don't I try to go to Fremont and pick it up at the factory? Maybe I'll get it sooner. And of course, that doesn't really pan out, but a lot of people were about that at the time. So that's the idea of the long trip came about that way. And my older brother had just recently retired. So I thought, well, I'll fly him out there with me. He can drive back across country with me, help me do the driving. And he's a big baseball fan and fanatic. He knows everything there is to know about every team and every player. So I said, okay, let's go out there, pick up the car on the West Coast, drive back cross country, and see how many baseball games we can see on the way back.
Wow.
Sooner or later, it developed into, hey, let's go see all 30 stadiums. And then we looked up the world record and saw that it was 29 days to get to the 30 park. It took a lot of work to try to find a schedule that would beat that, and everything kind of evolved from there. So ultimately, I'm not picking up my car in Fremont. I got it 2.5 weeks ago here in Virginia, and once we planned this trip, we said, hey, this is going to be a fun trip, but let's go ahead and turn this into EV awareness. Let's see if we can publicize this and help educate the public on EVs. And then if we got that attention, I might as well try to raise some money for Boys and Girls Club of America as well. So it's been a whole bunch of stuff wrapped up into one. And so we'll be taking off. I think on May 6th now is our current schedule to head up to Wrigley Field for our first game.
Do you want to take a few minutes to just go into detail how every baseball stadium will pale into comparison since Wrigley is one of the first?
If it doesn't fall down on you.
That's part of the charm.
I've had the pleasure to go to Wrigley, but it's been 20 years, and I enjoyed that experience. And we're really looking forward to kicking off the tour out there. And I've probably only been to a dozen or 14 stadiums. I know my brother's probably been to over half of them. So we're looking forward to see the character and the differences between each.
Cool. So I see that you'll be offering some test rides. Are you planning to just do those in the cities where you're going to see the baseball games, or will you do that at all the superchargers along the way, like Yo-Yo did with his EV road trip? Or what's your thought there?
Yeah, unfortunately we really would not be able to do that. It's pretty tough to find a schedule where we can link up the 30 games.
Yeah,
and we're pretty much going to be on the road all the time. I did follow Yo-Yo. I actually met up with him and test drove his car when he visited in Washington D.C. and where he was kind of doing a different service of a lot of people who are already interested in the cars and maybe had the Model 3 on order and really wanted to see it and test drive it, and took the time. I mean, he took a lot of time at each of the superchargers. I mean, we're going to be in and out at each place to try to make it to the next game on time. So where he was raising awareness more with hands-on and getting people into the car, ours is hopefully we can raise some publicity and have a lot of people follow this. Because, I mean, I think it's a story that might appeal to a wide range of people, from baseball fans, avid travelers, car enthusiasts, EV enthusiasts, people who like children's causes, and people who just like a kind of a nice feel-good story. So
sure.
We will get some press. I've just kind of started trying to get that now because I didn't know the trip was going to come together until I knew I was going to get the car. So we're kind of on the running there. It's been in the works planning for some time, but really haven't put out press releases and stuff. So hopefully we get some coverage and educate some people and try to push the transition to EVs quicker.
I mean, I'm looking at your schedule. You're actually starting in Milwaukee on May 8th?
Yeah. Well,
maybe
we've updated that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
You might have the Facebook schedule.
I have the Facebook.
Right, the Facebook schedule, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at their website. There's
okay.
EpicEVRoadtrip.com is his main website there, and looks like there's a working itinerary under the come along with us. It's a little more detailed.
Yeah, well, actually, just to give a little backstory for that. I mean, number one, it's really hard to put this together where you can string all those teams together.
Mm-hmm.
We actually found a nice schedule that would work for the 28 days. And then just about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, I saw that MLB rescheduled a game and kind of screwed our schedule.
Oh, man.
So our original first game was going to be in Milwaukee. The next day, we were going to see the Cubs at 1 and the White Sox at 7.
Yeah.
And then they rescheduled the White Sox game for 1. Now we've shuffled around a little bit. We've shuffled around. We've moved the Cubs in front of Milwaukee. So we're back at 29 games, unfortunately, but we're scouring the schedule, seeing if there's any way we can make it back to 28. So we might tie the record for 29, but ultimately the record's not necessarily important to us. It's more getting out there and doing the trip.
Sure. No, this is an aggressive schedule.
Very.
I can't tell.
This is an aggressive schedule.
To put it mildly.
You have nothing but respect for me because I've done something similar. And oh wow, yeah. I aged 20 years on that trip.
We put a lot of work into it. Definitely what we try to do is pencil in 3 hours for the game, an hour before the game, an hour after the game, between traffic, parking, extra innings, and stuff like that. And then we try to build in 8 hours at a hotel every night. Sometimes the rest of it's all driving. Sometimes only a little bit of it's driving, especially when we're in the East Coast and the upper Midwest. There are, I think, 4 legs that are relatively aggressive, very aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like you go from Cleveland to Denver down to Phoenix.
Yeah, well, the Cleveland to Denver is the hardest leg of the trip.
Wow. Yeah.
It's probably 24 hours of driving. We don't plan on stopping at a hotel that evening. We have the benefit that the Cleveland game was an early game and the Denver game, the Colorado game's a later game. So we picked up a couple hours there, and then we pick up a couple other hours, the fact that there's 2 time zone changes. So I think we have 28 hours for the 24. It's pretty close. That would be a tight one. My brother Dave's wife is going to fly out to Cleveland and join us so that she can drive and be a third driver for the Cleveland to Denver to Arizona to the Dodgers. And she wanted to see Dodgers Park. And that was a bunch of the toughest driving. And with the 3 people, that leg will be a little bit more palatable.
So now you are driving a Model 3, right?
That's right, Model 3.
And supercharging, or how are you doing this? Because we know that there's no free supercharging for the Model 3. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. My understanding, the times I've supercharging so far, I've paid for it. So, I mean, primarily we'll be supercharging. We're going to be at hotels that have a destination charger or some other sort of charging system there. So hopefully we can start off every day with 100%. And go from there. And some days will be tough. I think we have four tough days, and then the rest of them aren't that bad.
Wow. The other 25, not that bad.
Yeah. I think, it's going to catch up with you.
Yeah.
That's aggressive.
So are you a fan of particular, I'm not sure what the jersey you're wearing is.
Washington Nationals.
That's Nationals. Okay. That's the Virginia connection, right?
Is that Walgreens? Is that what?
It does look a bit like the Walgreens. Both Dave and I are big Nationals fans. Back in the day, we were Senators fans. Actually, back the Senators last year that they were around, our dad took us to opening day game, and then they moved the team out to, I think, Texas at that point. But Dave and I went to that opening day, and we've been to every opening day since.
Oh, that's
been
good. Yeah,
that's 47, 48 opening day, 47 or 48 year streak, even though the team has been missing for 33 years.
Yeah.
It's still a streak.
I think the first baseball game I ever saw was the Braves and the Senators. Is that possible?
Could be.
I don't know. I know it was the Braves because we lived in Milwaukee, but I think it was the Senators. I don't know.
Are there any ballparks where you can charge there while you're watching the game? Also get charged up?
I'm looking into that now. There are plenty of them, I believe. Whether we utilize that or not, some of the stadiums are our goal, and we've been talking to people trying to find, hey, what's the easiest out? So for our trip, it's more important for us to be parking on the side of the ballpark that is in the direction we're going, and we don't have to sit in traffic.
There's some truth to that.
If we sit for half an hour, that's probably sleep we're not going to get that night. So
that pretty much means at Wrigley, you're pretty much parking in Schaumburg. Outside the city. Yeah.
I was just thinking of that. You're coming to Toronto as well, and man, getting out of Sky Dome is crazy. So you're going to be sitting in some traffic there for sure.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, my brother's been researching that a little bit, trying to find the right places, and if it's not parking at the ballpark, it's parking 6 blocks away. That's what we'll do.
Yeah.
Get a couple folding bikes, throw in the back, and just
right. Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Man. And did you have to consider the supercharging times for your in between? Like, is that part of the equation?
Oh yeah, that's an important part of the equation. Yeah, if I set this up just doing MapQuest, I think I would have screwed myself. But I mean, only having the car for 2.5 weeks, I really don't have the experience of how well and how accurate some of these EV trip planners are. So we've been using EV Trip Planner and a better tripplanner.com, and they seem to be relatively similar to each other. And we to have, that we're not speeding, we're going the flow of traffic, we're going, trying to figure out
and
building enough extra time that regardless, I'm sure we're going to hit some traffic that we don't expect. Who knows?
And have you looked at the Tesla Nav system at all to look at a few routes?
Yeah, I have not through that yet, just because the car's so new and I've been so swamped. Trying to juggle 100 other things, getting prepped for the trip.
Yeah, and unless you have a newer version of the software in there than I do, you can't do multiple waypoints and destinations. It's A to B only. So doing what you're trying to do using these offline tools is a better idea.
Really, Patrick? So there's no one using it for 30-day out planning?
You just put it into Guinness World Record mode, and then it's right there. It's an Easter egg. Don't tell anybody about it, though.
Right. And
then it would also have to know what time is rush hour and when are you driving through this.
It does know that stuff. Yeah.
There's a lot of unknowns, and that's okay. I mean, if that record, number one, I think the fact that they changed the schedule, that record's not necessarily going to be in reach. There's a dozen things that can mess us up between rainouts, traffic, rain delays, extra innings. And so, you have to actually make the record, you have to be in the stadium for the first pitch and for the last out, and you need to have witnesses and everything else. So that I think we'll definitely get the longest EV voyage record, and that'll be good. The other record, we'll see if we can work that out. But it was a long shot to begin with.
Yeah.
But you got to try it. You have
to.
Right.
We're going to try it.
Have you driven with autopilot much, and do you think you'll be using it on the trip?
Yeah, I've been trying to utilize autopilot as every opportunity I have. I just visited my younger brother out in the northern neck of Virginia, probably about 3.5 hours away, where I probably use it 80% of the time. Some on interstate highways, some on kind of back road highway, and then some on really rural roads. And I think it worked pretty well. It's a little bit squirrely when you're on the hilly and curvy back roads. I think it takes me a little bit too close to the middle line. But considering we're going to be on highway and interstate, 95% of the time, I'm going to utilize it as much as possible.
Yeah, that's where it shines. So that'll help.
And I take it, Steve, you'll be posting throughout the trip on your Facebook or your Twitter feed to different parks as you're arriving or leaving or setting up.
Yeah, we'll be maintaining. I mean, it's easy. The Epic EV road trip. That's the .com for the website. That's the Facebook page, and that's also my Twitter handle. So you can go to either or any of those. Probably the Facebook will be the most active, though I'll try to keep them all up. I mean, we'll be talking about the baseball games. We'll be talking about our travel adventures. I'm going to try to talk a lot about the Model 3 performance. With driving 18,000, 19,000 miles on a lot of straightaway traffic, I think we'll be able to play around a lot, driving at 45 and 55 and 65, 75, with and without the aero wheels covers on it in different temperatures. And then I'm going to try to track that and post that and graph it. I know I've seen a little bit of that so far, but we'll be doing nothing but driving. And if I'm on auto 65 miles an hour for an hour, we'll get some good data and we'll share it with people.
Excellent.
We're talking about a whole lot of different things from hopefully get the baseball fans involved. We have a baseball trivia contest daily on our website. Hopefully people come and play along with us, keep on coming back, and learn a lot about the Model 3. I'm sure I'll learn a lot about my Model 3. I have about 1,000 miles on it so far, so I'll be changing it I'll be adding 20 times that much over the next month.
Would it satisfy the Guinness qualifications if you selfied the first pitch and the last out and social media? I mean, because you said you have to be there for the first pitch, you have to be there for the last out, and you have to have witnesses, and it needs to be certified. I would think a picture or a live feed would satisfy that.
They have written rules, and I think they would like to have that. We're planning on doing that, but I think they're looking for something more intensive as well. They have witness forms. And this is stuff that I signed up for maybe 4 or 5 months ago, just in case I got the car in time, and it takes them like 4 months to review and approve your application. So I actually just had my applications approved in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
So that will be the other thing, is going through the red tape and the paperwork, and hopefully we have that. There's GPS tracking and GPS files and photos and videos, and there's a whole mess of things that we'd have to do to satisfy them.
Yeah. Are you purchasing your tickets ahead of time or waiting to buy them at the gate?
We're gonna probably purchase the ones that are the stadiums that get sold out a lot in advance, and then we're probably gonna do a day before or 2 days before StubHub. We're gonna try to do this relatively economically. I think there's a lot of ballparks you can pick up tickets on the real cheap the day before, 2 days before.
Yeah.
We're actually going to want to be standing during parts of the game, just because it will be our opportunity to get some circle.
Right.
So we're going to take the opportunity to walk around the ballpark a little bit as well. Hopefully we get there early enough to get to see the character of the ballpark and not be there right in time and have to leave right afterwards, and not to get much, but it'll be the wide variety. We'll see something different at each ballpark.
Wow. Well, any other questions for Steve?
Well, I definitely will be interested in when you make that travel from Chicago to Milwaukee, because I kind of live right in the path on the interstate between Chicago and Milwaukee. So maybe we could get together for dinner or lunch or something.
He doesn't have time. You have to drive alongside of it.
Maybe we'll see.
There's a supercharger nearby there.
Pass the Big Mac out the car window to him.
Yeah. Have his order ready for him as he goes up the interstate. Yes.
See, if you want to be a friend, Tony,
that's exactly what I'll do. Yes.
The Grey Poupon commercial in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's another good thing. We're going to be taking this opportunity between friends and relatives that are scattered throughout the country, that we're going to try to hook up with them at the games and meet up with them. We've had a lot of offers of people, hey, let's come crash our house and such, but just to keep our schedule and not to veer too far off the highway and be tempted to stay up all night reminiscing, we're going to kind of just meet up with people at the ballparks when we can. But that will be another good aspect of it, because there's a lot of people we haven't seen in a long time.
Very good. Very good.
Well,
all right.
Actually, we've also tried to reach out to some of the teams and see if this is something that a good PR story for them, and actually a couple of the teams have just offered us complimentary tickets as well. So,
that's great.
Oh, awesome.
Very good.
Not too bad, but it's nice to get.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything to defray the costs a little bit. So this isn't like the yo-yo trip where you gather money as he goes. We're just doing this and footing the bill and having fun and hopefully doing some good.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, Steve, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Let's do so by the way, so let's go facebook.com/Epic EV Road Trip or epicevroadtrip.com, and it's at Epic EV Road Trip on Twitter.
That's correct.
Excellent. Okay. Steve's also raising money for a very good cause, the Boys and Girls Club of America. You can donate at least the Facebook and the .com page that I saw. Do think about doing that. Kick in a couple of bucks because Steve's raising money for a very good cause. So
actually, the donations are through the main website and not through the Facebook page.
Just the main website. Thank you.
And people can donate. What we're doing is people can choose which chapters to direct it to. We're directing it to the inner cities of the 30 Major League Baseball clubs. So if you live out in the middle of Hawaii, it's not going to go to the Hawaii Boys and Girls Club, but you can choose any of the 30 cities of the baseball clubs, or you can choose to donate directly to the national organization, which supports all the clubs.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, let's kick off this week's Tesla news. Not that wasn't enough news, but we do. A couple of things happened. And the first story I'm going to go to Mark for is a fascinating look at the Roadster.
Yeah, they took a look at the Roadster, I guess the next gen Roadster, and the article reviewed what the published amounts were at the unveil that happened with the SEMI event. And they came back with the numbers didn't quite match up. So they had expected the Roadster mileage to be a little bit more than what was quoted in the unveil. And they went back and reviewed that information, and some speculation has come that there could possibly be somewhat of a different maybe chemical balance or architecture to the batteries based on the number. So we've certainly posted the article that you can read through all the different theories, but it's since this car is coming out in 2020, there is some speculation that it may not be using the exact same cells that are being used in the current Model 3, but there might be something a little bit different based on the numbers that were quoted. So it was kind of an interesting read about some different theories that are out there. Granted, speculation, but then the car, isn't coming till 2020, so there is some room for them to maneuver before that date comes up, and they may have a couple of different choices to select when they get to the point where they're going to start to manufacture the car. So it was kind of an interesting article about what the possibilities are, that there could be something new for that next gen Roadster.
So it took me 2 or 3 readings to try to make sense of this, because they start by saying, they ran the numbers and their model said 764 miles of range, but Elon said 620.
Well, that's because the car like that, you got to drive fast. That's going to lower your range.
I know. Then that's kind of what I'm kind of wondering here with 200 kilowatt battery, and is Elon saying 620 because he expects that no one's going to hypermile this thing?
Yeah, that's why you buy a 250 mile an hour 2-seater.
That's right. That's right. And of course, some cars have a governor. This car has the opposite. As soon as you step in, it's doing 120 out of the gate.
Right. Right. In fact, you can't travel below 60 miles an hour.
Right. That's eco mode.
You got to shut the car off a mile and a half from your house so you can glide in. Yes.
We have a Speed 3 coming. You don't go under 60 or you'll explode.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. There you go. Speed 3. I like that. I got to tell you, I question this article, not because the math isn't any good. I'm barely capable to judge that. It's just, honestly, do I think Tesla is working on a new battery? Well, sure, maybe so. But do I think they're going to deploy it in the next 24 months? No. No.
Do you not think possibly, though, that Tesla has, obviously, they have a battery program, but they could be working on several different fronts to see if they've got the next generation. But obviously, they're not going to tell anybody that. But they are working with the group out of Halifax that are developing new technologies. So there could be that type of thing going on as well, where several different types are in I guess development at the same time.
Sure, and it's just like Elon to want to reduce cost to make a lower cobalt battery. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. Let's be practical. Probably not. It's probably going to be stuff full of 2170s.
Wait. Did you just use the word practical and Elon Musk? He just declared a dragon cyborg is in development.
Fair enough.
Your argument is mute.
Yes.
Or moot.
Sorry.
Moo. It's like a cow trying to find it. Moo.
A cyborg cow.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I think our next story is going to go to Mark as well, because that's just the way I'm feeling today. I don't want to talk. I have a cold. Mark has a Model 3 story.
Yes, the Elon basically released it was an employee communique to all his employees, and of course this was leaked. And
within minutes,
you wouldn't, with that many employees, you wouldn't expect it not to be leaked. So yeah, someone released it, and it got out, and it was basically Elon was explaining that that in this email that he was letting them know about the shutdown that was happening for 3 to 5 days, which of course at this point should be over. He indicated that they were putting different efficiencies in place to make the cars faster and would allow them to come out of the shutdown with the goal of 3,000, 4,000 cars in any given week, and allowing them to push towards the goal of now 6,000, up from 5,000 per week. And he explained that the 6,000 was going to be a burst, and the sustainability they would hope would be in the 5,000 range. So he went through a number of different explanations as to what they were doing. But what was interesting was that he also indicated that the factory was going up to 3 shifts a week now. So they're going to be in 24/7 operation. The assembly, the paint, and the body will be a 24/7 operation. And they'll be adding about 400 new employees per week for several weeks. And he even put in the email, if you know someone that's dependable and trustworthy, send them in. So if you happen to be looking for a job in Fremont, you might want to place your resume in if you haven't already, because they're going to be looking for a lot of new people for the foreseeable future.
Tell them the Tesla Life sent you.
Absolutely.
They'll be like, who?
And they'll say who he is, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry, you failed our background check, but I haven't even had the background check. Well,
he also went on to speak about things about such as the criticism that has been leveled at Tesla to this point about not being profitable, about just being a group that has borrowed money to get to where they are. And Elon basically stated in the email that, we are at the point now where we're going to start to make a profit. We have to start making a profit. We are going to be moving forward, and this is our base. We've got to the scale where we've got the levels, the scale of production, where we can now be profitable and be profitable moving forward. And as we've said on this show, it's getting to that point, this buildup that has been huge for them, that they've been pushing towards this goal now for a long time. And now they get to the point where they are producing 5,000 cars a week, then they're set. They can pay all their expenses. They're starting to make profit on every car. And then really the people, the naysayers, the bears in Wall Street and such, they will not be able to touch them anymore, because they're going to be a profitable company pushing out thousands and thousands of cars. So it's interesting that he's gone through that walkthrough in the letter. And there's a number of other points he's made in it, but certainly we haven't got the entire show to go through that. But I would suggest anyone that has interest to go to the link and read through the actual letter. It's quite interesting to see the background that he's stating through this communique.
Yeah, they didn't say they'd be profitable from that point on. They said they'd be profitable in Q3 and Q4. And I think that's an important distinction, because if they have huge CapEx plans for Q1 of next year, like building a factory in Asia or Europe or somewhere, then that might be something that they do to show Wall Street they can do it, and then say, but we're going to continue to invest and be a growth company. And anyway, so it's very interesting from an investor perspective right now.
Absolutely.
So I'm scrolling through the list of jobs at the Gigafactory here in Sparks. A couple of them did jump out at me. Right here up on top is the quality technician. Maybe they fired the last one. And then
they might need a new one if they have a new shift.
And then right down here, I saw the construction cost estimator. That's kind of important. You might want to get hands on
I
that
want
one.
the driver job that I see right there.
Right. And and somewhere there was another one in here. I saw the a cost, a cost analysis person. I'm like, okay, yeah. So between quality and cost, those are probably the two you want to hire right away.
Yeah.
And just to mention, when you just say cost, that kind of jogged the memory. In the article or in the email as well, Elon talked a lot about how they were going to start to be examining costs and every little cost. So when they get towards that profitability mark, they're wanting to make sure that they're not wasting money in any ways. And they've indicated that they're going to be going through every department and looking for only value add propositions and cutting out the fat.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, we'll see. Time will tell.
So let's see if
Would you stop applying for jobs?
Podcaster.
So they are
Hard
not
time.
hiring podcasters. Sorry.
No results. Oh man.
Yeah. God, that
That
sucks.
Elon has no imagination whatsoever.
Oh man.
Well, speaking of no imagination, it doesn't take an imagination, a very good one at least, to envision what's going on in Sparks, Nevada right now. Let me, there we go. It looks like the Gigafactory is expanding. Now, we talked in the past about the solar panels that they've deployed on one tiny little part. Just there you go, little tiny solar array. Lots of roof left. But interestingly enough, there's Gigafactory 1. Look, there's a tent. Is there a circus in town?
What?
There's a tent right there.
Where? Which? Oh,
Right
on the. Maybe that's
the
a
parking
bouncy
lot.
The
castle.
thing that looks like a tent.
It does look like
Anyway,
a tent. It does kind of look
And
like a
there
tent.
you go. There's the big.
They ran out of room inside the building apparently. So they,
Yeah.
Keep in mind,
where the
and-
porta potties are located.
Yeah, there's nothing like a tent in Sparks, Nevada.
Yeah, it's so comfortable there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the theory is, the guess is, we don't know for sure, that all of this activity means that they're going to further expand Gigafactory 1. Let me go here to one more spot. Wow.
You showed a big clearing.
Yeah, there was
in
two
part of it.
things.
That was the more interesting part of that. But
Sorry about that. See, and I didn't show the interesting picture. There we
There
we
go.
go. Yeah.
Look at that. Now, who isn't fascinated by a big pad of dirt?
Brown spot in the desert.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are those bobcats?
did they hire the Bobcat Rodeo team?
All I want to say is that looks way more developed than Faraday Future ever managed to get. That looks graded. Well, clearly, I mean, they've leveled out a pad, and I don't know what they're doing there.
The thought is that the other darker patch within it is asphalt. So the thinking is that that's going to be the new employee parking lot, and where the current parking lot is
Will
going
be
to
the
start to fill in with building. So build the new parking lot first, get the employees over there, and obviously they're going to have to build some sort of monorail or something to get everybody into the plant. But there is speculation that the L-shaped current Gigafactory that you can see in this photo, they're going to be, the pilings are already poured at the end of the L shape, and some of the parking lot is rumored to be going to be started to be put under construction as well once the cars move out.
Well, and you've got to get the cars out of the way, right?
Yeah, because employees get really upset when their cars are locked inside a building forever. So, yeah,
that could be bad, right?
People with just no imagination.
Exactly.
That's all it is. I'm having trouble visualizing this being 30% of the eventual construction.
Yeah,
and where the rest of it's going.
Yeah.
It obviously is going to push out from the L. You can see that ring road to the right, and it's like kind of a darker ring road that's on the right-hand side of this photo.
Is that?
I am not sure if that is the end of where the Gigafactory will be, or if it will maybe even go beyond the road, but it is heading in that direction. So the building is heading to the right as it expands.
I had no idea.
It's going from a Gigafactory to a Terrafactory.
That's a big.
That's right.
That's a big parking lot.
Yeah.
Now, and like Mark said, there is most likely going to be a monorail from the parking lot to the factory. And they've already hired the engineer, as you can see, for the monorail.
Oh, man.
It's a loop-de-loop. I think we can connect these two stories. The limiting factor for Model 3 production had been the batteries. So now that they're getting enough of those out of the factory to do 24-hour shifts, they've got to make even more to get up to from where they're at now to their eventual goal of 10,000 a week.
Exactly.
They have to expand.
Yeah.
Huh. Crazy.
in Q1 of next year, though, because they can't spend the money in 3 or 4 because they have to be profitable.
Yeah.
Got to be profitable.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Well,
That's right.
we go from a macro development to micro development. Monroe and Associates, apparently
Yes.
Detroit veteran Sandy Monroe, tore apart a Model 3. And
with only so few of them out there, someone tore one apart completely.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you know, there's a few dozen of those things in pieces on a warehouse floor, you know?
Oh, yeah.
That's, oh man, I bet people were delighted. But apparently, Mr. Monroe was impressed with what he found, claiming that some of the electronics in the Model 3 are comparable to the flight controller found in a Lockheed Martin F-35.
Which is what I've been saying this whole time.
Yeah, exactly. I heard Tony say it.
Yeah, he's right.
And without the weapon systems, I guess.
Yeah, we think
Well, that
over
have
the air updates. You never know.
Yeah. Over the air.
Yeah. Monroe further went on to describe the person who designed the car's suspension as, quote, an F1 Prince.
F1 Prince.
It's like a Formula One.
One Prince. Huh? That's a different different title there.
I didn't know there was an aristocracy. But Sandy Monroe, CEO of Monroe and Associates, is a company that specializes in vehicle teardowns and analysis. So this was certainly expected and is probably fascinating people all over the place. In fact, one has to wonder who paid Mr. Monroe to do this and where's the really good data going?
Yeah. Because I'm sure he wasn't doing it just for fun.
No, they're selling that report too.
Are they?
Yeah. He was on Autoline and talked about it.
Nice.
And actually, there's a 90-minute video of him speaking on Autoline.
Oh my God.
And it's interesting the pieces that he goes into. They kind of jump around a little bit in the video, but if you have interest in a subject, they cover a lot of bases that I'm sure you would find interesting once you dive into it.
Yeah, and Derek on the chat pointed out and said, wasn't that the guy who said you could see the panel gaps from space?
Wow.
And yeah, it was.
Yep.
And that's even in the article is here. You know, how much has he panned it for the actual build quality? But once he got into the tech and the tightness of the circuitry and the battery, and he loved that part of it.
Yeah.
Huh.
Right. So he had both really great and really horrible things to say about it.
Yeah.
I don't remember how much that report cost exactly, but he mentioned the price, and one of them said, I could go buy a Model 3 cheaper than that. And he said, but we spent $1 million in effort to do the teardown work. So
yeah, it's not like you have all the secrets revealed once you buy the car. You got to do the work still.
Right.
Well, and know how to analyze it, right? I mean,
yes.
I look at those photos of circuit boards and I go, oh yeah, those are circuit boards.
Probably doesn't go in a aircraft. Or maybe
But I mean,
it does. I don't know.
It does take another level of expertise to be able to look at it and go, this is military spec quality work. These are good components, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's, I would say that's good news. I mean, if he was the guy that panned the body, but likes the tech inside, okay. It seems like he was being honest.
Yeah. Which do you think is harder to figure out? They've got the hard part down. And
oh, right. Yeah, now it's just build a better body around it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, there's something that he mentioned. I'm not sure in the video or if it was the write-up, but he indicated that there are thousands of engineers out there that are great at building a body around a car, and there's many of them that you could get to join your team and help you in those type of areas that have been covered by many engineers in the past. The tough part, of course, is the battery, the technology, the stuff that Tesla really has right out of the box.
Yeah, absolutely. And the proprietary knowledge that they've developed for that car.
Yeah, and Tesla's hired more than one auto industry alumni.
I'm sure they have. Yeah.
Quite a bit. Well, Mark, I think you have the next story because I don't have it.
That would be about the Model 3 eclipsing 20,000 units total.
Yes,
so that just happened recently, and it was. It's of course being tracked by Bloomberg, who have put together a website that are tracking Model 3 deliveries, VIN numbers, sightings of where they are in the production schedule. And with the shutdown that happened recently, they've gone over that 20,000 mark, and now Bloomberg is guesstimating that they're going over the 2,500 a week that they had hit just recently. So this article just kind of indicating that Tesla is on the ramp up. They continue to be. And the ramp is getting higher as the days go on. So this connected with our second story about the shutdown and the eventual I guess production numbers of 6,000 a week that they want to hit, ramping up. It just kind of lends more information to that subject. So interesting to see that the 20,000 already are out there, along with the VIN numbers that have been, they have to be registered with the transportation department. And just recently, Tesla has pushed again, and 5,100 new VIN numbers have been asked for. So again, just before the shutdown, they had almost 5,000. Now they're over 5,000 just a few days over after a shutdown. So big things seem to be in store for production numbers. And
that's awesome.
And those people out there, through the social media networks, there's an absolute a ton of people that are posting pictures of them picking up cars at different centers, delivery centers that Tesla has across the country. So it's happening. It's not happening fast enough for some people that are still on a waiting list, but man, it's really starting to roll.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, when they had their end of quarter burst, Russell and I were talking about that on the show, and at the end of the year last year, they had a burst. That was the first time they got to 1,000 a week. And we were wondering, okay, well, after they hit 1,000, they dropped back down to 700 for several weeks. Is this 2,000 a week going to be sustainable? And it's really great to see that it has been. That is really cool.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think we can expect to see anybody who's doing manufacturing at this level, especially when they're trying to grow their volumes, you can expect that they're going to have a shutdown every quarter for at least 3 days, if not a week, as they're putting in new equipment, as they're making changes. And those are the kinds of things that when you're growing production that you do. It's anybody that's doing analysis of production only plans for 12 weeks of production in a quarter because of that exact reason.
Right.
I didn't know that. Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah.
Mark?
Yeah, this is on kind of, as people can tell, I'm on a different medium today.
Yeah.
I don't have access to my Twitter shot, but it's a great time to advertise it.
Tony has some,
if you're on Twitter, feel free to follow our feed at the Tesla Life. And thank you, Tony, for bringing this up. But
you're welcome. That is a good shot.
Apparently, this person had decided that they were using the Easter egg submarine mode on their Model X.
Yeah.
And as you can
I
see,
heard he was just using the navigation system on the car.
Wow.
He had Apple Maps on.
And drove into a canal somehow. This Dutch person put it into a canal, and there were a couple other shots of it slowly sinking into the canal. And somehow he got there it is. There's the Falcon Wing doors open and the hatch opened. I don't know if he was trying to flap it out or what was going on.
Yeah.
Well, they have rain guards that drain water out right there.
I'm sure that's exactly what he was thinking.
Yes, it's
He
for
was
proper
just
water
trying to get the
egress.
rain off the roof, obviously. Yes.
I think the wipers are on in this picture.
That'll fix it.
Oh my gosh! Like
Crazy.
this car is a complete write-off. Like
That is
being
a-
so like, oh my gosh!
It is so
Yeah.
depressing. It is
Yeah.
so
Do
depressing.
you think they
Just
had a
watching this thing
hydrophobic wax on there? That would have fixed it.
Right.
Yeah.
That would have saved it.
Yeah.
All he needed was that ceramic coating, and he would have been
Yes.
fine. There's
Right.
no issues. Yeah.
If you bought the paint protection, sir, you wouldn't have a problem.
Mhm.
That's why we try to sell it at time of delivery.
That's right. You never know. The insurance for the canal is always a good one to pick up.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, well, look at this one picture here. Here, let me okay, just to, and I'm not defending anybody here. Look at those cars. Okay, look at this canal. There's nothing. There isn't even a yellow line.
Right,
You
right.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, there is a 3-foot drop off in a large body of water, though.
well, there is
Right.
that. Like I said, I'm not defending anybody, but I am saying, like, you know, I mean, geez, like a reflective yellow line or something.
Yeah, and
Well,
I-
Russell,
yeah.
I'm not seeing a graveyard of cars out there. Just-
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
So that's
there's
why
that
it's
too,
not
right?
sinking deeper. It stopped when it hit the other car that it landed on.
Yeah. Nice.
well, I know, and
yeah,
to,
there's really 12 decades of cars in that canal. Yes.
Mm. to Russell's point, I mean, here's a closer shot, but I mean, look at the edge
They're right there
here.
on the edge. How do you get out of
Yeah.
the car?
I mean, like,
Oh,
yeah,
it's right-hand
well,
drive. What am I
They
thinking?
get
Yeah,
out to the
it's-
passenger side.
right.
Right,
And,
but
I mean,
if you've ever scraped your wheel on a curb, you do that here and whoop honk, you're in the canal.
do you know how to parallel park? And he's like, no, I'm
Yeah.
scared to death of parallel.
Yeah, that
parking."
is some tricky parallel parking there. I agree.
Ay, ay, ay. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Oh.
they've
Well-
invented these things, like called curbs. They should invest in a couple.
Yeah, I mean a little guardrail thing or something. Like I said, even a stripe of yellow paint, just like, hey, you're about to go for a swim.
Yeah.
Why not? Well,
And
I
I
think,
will touch on one other thing before we go. This was our last story, but I've got an extra one, as happens sometimes on the
I've
show.
never,
One more
that's
thing.
so
Sometimes.
unusual for you, Mark.
But we do have an interesting Twitter picture, which again I can't share because I don't have access to it. But I ask you to go take a look. We were talking a couple weeks ago about the Model S service vehicles that were putting in place. We had some pictures from the Drive, who showed us an actual Model S that had some gear in the back, some equipment, so that they could go out and be a mobile Tesla service unit and replacing some of their vans with these Model S's. Well, there is a picture on our Twitter feed of about 25, 27 of these cars that are all together, I guess, at a Tesla location where they were outfitting them, painting them in the Tesla service colors, and they're now being released. So it's just kind of cool to see, about 30 of them all together. So it's not just one prototype. They're starting to roll these out. So keep your eyes peeled for that kind of stuff as time goes along.
Trying
Yeah,
to
we have
find
one here in
that.
Portland. I just saw it on Monday.
Ah, very good. Very good.
Nice. Very nice. Well, then that's our stories for this week. Thank you very much, Mr. Coughlin, for doing the show from your phone today. That's a trooper right there.
That's dedication. Stupid
that's
dedication,
dedication.
but it's dedication. Yeah.
Let's do some shout outs and go home. And first, our special guest, Steve. Do you want to plug your sites again?
Oh, yeah, certainly. Please check us out. Follow us on Facebook. Epic EV Road Trip. Epic, it's an epic trip. EV for electric vehicles and road trip. And we'll be posting a lot of good stuff. Come to our website, learn about EVs, learn about our trip, learn about Boys and Girls Club, and a lot more. Please share us with all your baseball friends. They'll be interested in the trip, and then we'll get them interested in EVs while they're at it. And follow me. I'm new at Twitter, so I'm just getting a hang of it. So follow me there as well. And I want to thank you all for having me on today, and I had a good time.
Awesome. Well, Steve,
Cool.
thanks for coming on. That was beautiful. Fusco.
Oh yeah. It'll take me a couple hours to go through all my shout outs. So maybe I'll just pass it on because I don't want to delay this show.
Do you have a referral code you want to spread? Or
yes, I do have a referral code, but
just saying.
You can just email me if somebody's looking to buy and needs a referral code. I'm happy to share mine.
There you go, Mr. Connor.
All right. I also have a referral code, but I want you to use Evan's because I got my 5, so I'm going to go to the next event.
Did you?
So yeah,
wow,
it's
nice.
Wow, nothing like a backhand brag.
It'd be cool if Evan could go too. Yeah, so
that would be awesome.
There's a new program starts at the 1st of next month. So actually wait so that he can get all 5 during the next referral program.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's it.
So I write at carswithcords.net. I am with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association, oeva.org. And shout out to the Boys and Girls Club. That's a cool place. Way back when it was the Boys Club, I used to hang out there a lot when I was a kid. So that's good on you for raising money for them.
Absolutely. That's
thank you.
So, yeah, don't forget you can donate to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America by visiting Steve's site and support his trip and support a cause that is exceptionally worthy. Mr. Schaefer.
Of course, I want to give a shout out to everyone in the chat, which is Derek and Hockey Day and Lee and Mark and me, because I'm in the chat. So I'm giving a shout out to myself and a huge pat on my back.
Well, you accused me of a backhanded compliment. Yours is not even backhanded. You're like, I'm shouting out to myself because I'm so awesome.
Just and as always, just a thanks to everyone for for joining us, watching us live. Thanks for everyone who's not watching us live. Russell's probably going to say, make sure you subscribe to the page so you find out when we start recording again.
I actually leave that to Mark. So, Mr. Coughlin.
Make sure that you click the subscribe button on that YouTube channel, and that will get you automatic alerts when the show starts. So we'd like to see you every time, and don't miss a show. Subscribe. Help us out. Help yourself out by getting those alerts.
Absolutely. We are gaining subscribers every week, and we would like you to do so. And that actually does help us. People look at those subscriber numbers, sponsors, all sorts of things. So that's one way to help us without giving us any money. Nothing wrong with that.
Remind me again, which sponsors have looked at those numbers?
Let's just, you know what? They could. Sponsors.
Okay. I hear Yeti is looking for some new sponsors.
Yeah. Your Yeti coolers are in the mail. Okay. As always, I want to thank Lee Moon for our amazing theme music. You can, he gave it to us for free, performed it, wrote it. Thank you very much, Lee. I want to thank Steve, once again, our special guest tonight, for coming on. I'm going to finish this hopefully before my voice completely gives out. And everybody on the panel, thanks so much for making a showing today. I appreciate it. And
thank you.
Thanks, of course, to everybody in the chat room, all of you. That's the reason we do this show. I mean, well, we like doing it without you, but it's more fun with you. So tune in next week and find out what is going on in the Tesla life.